Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Teresa's Crafty Cabana. Today I'm going to show you how to make some distressed wood looks on the Gelli plate. I pulled out all these kind of brown, gray, and cream colored paints, anything that I thought looked like weathered wood or distressed wood. So I'm going to just play around here with some textures. So I do have a lot of embossing folders, and I just wanted to show you, if you have a lot of embossing folders, maybe some different options that you might have already on hand. This is a small 3D embossing texture plate by Tim Holtz and Sizzix. And this one just looks like planks, like small little planks, a texture fade. And then this one is some distress stripes. This is an old one from Cuttlebug, but that one can look like wood. This is a wood grain texture by Tim Holtz Alterations, also by Sizzix. You could use the back or front of that one. The Doris is from Joanne Fabrics. And this is another 3D embossed texture, and this one looks more like larger wood planks, also by Tim Holtz Alterations and Sizzix. And then I've got just stripes. So these are also Doris, which is Joanne's. So this is just another simple stripe you can use, or you could use a cardboard stripe look. I also pulled out a nib of a silicone brush or the end of a regular brush, and some perfect pearls in white, and then just some vintage colors. This is a magazine that I ripped the cover off of, and I'm going to use that to brayer off and just kind of pull away my sheets as they get full of paint. This is the vintage white, and it's a distressed white. It actually has a pretty potent smell. This came in a set with other paints to make a distressed wood look, so I thought this would be a good color to start with. And I wanted to have so as the Gelli print is kind of layered up, the color you put down first is going to be the color on the front, and everything behind it will be towards the back. So I wanted this white color towards the front of this print. I'm just using the cardboard texture for this one, and I'm going to spray it with some water while it's still wet. I do use my fan to dry the paint and then come back and remove the wet dots, and then I'll put some more paint on the background. This is going to be a gray color. Cobblestone is this one. It's a warm gray. Then I'll take the end of my paintbrush and just kind of make some lines in the gel plate in the paint, just again to reveal some of that plate underneath so I can put another layer behind this one. I wanted to remove a little more paint, so I used my cardboard piece once again just to pick up some more paint. Next, I will put some black on the plate and evenly brayer out the color. I will go back in with that texture, and I'm just going to pull up some more of the paint. Now this texture is the larger plank 3D embossed folder, and I'm just pulling away anything that's still going to pull up to reveal the gel plate. Then once I let that dry, I wanted to have a little bit of shiny interest in the planks, so I put some perfect pearls in the areas where the gel plate was revealed. For my final layer on this print, I'm going to go in with some khaki, and I'm just going to evenly brayer this one out and make sure it's in enough paint to pull all of those layers up. Here I just want to make sure I press down on all of the corners and press in evenly. And then I'll walk away from this print for about 5 to 6 minutes. When I come back, I just make sure it doesn't feel cold anymore, like the paint is finally dry. And then I will pull away the edges first and then pull the entire print up. And this is what my first distressed wood looks like. This is just using the cardboard, but in the very back I did use a little bit of the embossed folder to create the areas where the mica powders or pearl powders showed through. So for my next print, I wanted to have the look of maybe some distressed paint on wood, and I love this kind of like blue, beachy blue color for the painted wood look. So I'm going to start with that as my first layer. Then I've got a different texture that I'm going to use this time. I'm going to use the one that looks like a wood with a knot in it. And I'll just press that down gently on the plate. I don't want to press too hard, I just want to press enough to get the impression. And then I'll flip it so I can get a little bit of a different side of that knot showing. Then I'll bring it over to my other side of the plate, and I'll do this a total of 4 times. Then I'll put some water down on the paint areas, and I'm focusing on the areas where the connectors meet, where you can kind of see that line. I just want to pull up some of the paint in those areas so it'll look like a more cohesive print. And then I'll use my fan to dry the paint the rest of the way. I'm going back in with my cobblestone warm brown color. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of the vintage white. Once I'm happy with that, I will put some more water down on the plate. Let the paint dry around the water. And to remove the water droplets, I'm actually using my texture plate again and just pressing it down to remove any paint that's still wet and the water droplets. Once I'm happy with how the plate is looking so far, I decided to try another texture that I made using these decorative edge scissors. One of them is a pinking shear and the other just has an interesting design to it. So first I'm going to go in with some of my perfect pearls on the areas of the jelly plate that are showing. I can already tell I really like this print. So it has the brown showing through, the cobblestone gray, and the blue on the top. And a little bit of that perfect pearl when I hold it in the light at a certain angle. So this one so far, I've loved this one, how it looks. So let's do another one. This one I'm going to start with just white. Then I'm going to use that texture that I just created with cardstock. I messed up here because I went over itself and it didn't look like wood at all by doing that. And I just tested it out to see if it would give me the look I was going for before I went back and did it again. So I dropped a little more paint on the plate because the paint on there was already starting to dry. I'm just gonna brayer that out over the drying paint. And that kind of gives you a little more working time if you hadn't let that first layer dry completely. So now I can go back over all of these areas with my little scraper, handmade scraper. You could use this is from Dollar Tree. It's like in the cake section. You could use this as well. Then I'll go in with some water. Then I just tilt my jelly plate up. I have it on a glass mat. I'll spray a little more water, and as those water droplets are coming down, I'm just using my rag to catch them. I'm using a scrap piece of paper to see if I left behind any extra water drops on the plate. And then I have this high gloss gray color that will go over the back of this. Now I wanted to make the look of planks using supplies that anyone might have on hand. So I just cut a straight line on one of my cardboard pieces, and then I'm just taking the flat edge and going up and down what would be the look of a wood plank. And once I'm happy with how the design looks with the wood planks, I'll go in a little bit more on some of the areas where the paint didn't remove, and then I'm going to go back in with this texture again with the larger wood planks. I'll put a little more perfect pearls down on this one too. And then I've got some black that I'll put over the back side. This is what I'm going to use to pull up this print. Let it rest about 5 to 6 minutes. And this is what the sort of distressed. This one to me looks like it could be Farmhouse, especially if you cut this one up and put it in a journal. I feel like this one could look like Farmhouse, maybe Shiplap or something like that. It's very distressed looking, and I think this one looks pretty cool, like the white was kind of peeling away. Now I wanted to do a barn door look because barn doors, weathered. So I wanted to see what it would look like if I did a brown and red mixture and then kind of build my layers on top of this one. So after I laid out my paint evenly, I took my smaller blanks, and this was the 3D emboss folder, and I double embossed it on one page here, one piece. And I'm just gonna go in and almost have the look of just little wood planks all throughout the gel print. I'm offsetting them just a little bit and then going back in and finishing out the side. Then I'll let that dry, and I'm going to go in with this vintage weathered look gray. And I've got my distressed stripes, so I'll try that one this time. Spritz it with some water, mostly focusing on the connector points. Dry the paint around the water, and then pull up some of that water with a scrap piece of paper. Then I have my high gloss gray paint. Put that over the back of the two colors already on the plate. Then I have this other wood look. This one's more maybe cartoony looking. Again, just trying to reveal a little bit of the plate through this 3 layers that are already down. Removing some of that water and then putting the perfect pearls in the background. Going in with my final layer of black paint. Alright, so here is my red distressed wood look, and I think this one turned out really cool as well. It has a lot of texture and dimension that really bring out some different wood looks. This one is more of a simple shiplap distressed wood. This one has the more of a weathered wood look. I would say this one almost reminds me of like a beached wood that's washed ashore and has kind of a bluish tint to it. And then there's the almost like a painted wood that the paint has chipped off, and you have a little bit of the blue left, but also some of the weathered wood and the brown wood. So all of them turned out quite different, and using just a mixture of the distressed looking wood for the embossed folders or the stripes, plus some supplies you might already have on hand, like the ends of a paintbrush or a scraper that has like a zigzag on it. So there's a lot of things that, or cardboard, and that's another thing that you might have on hand. So I just wanted to give you a couple of ideas if you don't have any tools or stencils for making a wood look, different ways that you could create a wood look yourself if you're trying to create this kind of a weathered look. So I thought these turned out really cool. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Happy crafting.